The technology known as silent sound spread spectrum, also referred to as SQUAD, or the voice of God weapon, represents what many researchers believe to be the most sophisticated and dangerous form of psychological warfare ever developed. While mainstream science dismisses these concerns as fringe conspiracy theories, alternative researchers point to U.S. patent number 5,159,703, silent subliminal presentation system, developed by Dr. Oliver Lowry of Norcross, Georgia, as evidence of the technology's reality, tracing its origins to government-sponsored mind control research programs like MKUltra. SSSS allegedly emerged from classified studies combining advanced acoustics, neuroscience, and electromagnetic spectrum manipulation, rather than simply influencing through traditional subliminal audio that requires conscious hearing. SSSS allegedly bypasses normal auditory processing entirely. The system purportedly transmits extremely low-frequency modulated signals through spread spectrum radio carriers, penetrating buildings, in underground installations, while resonating with natural brainwave frequencies in the alpha and theta ranges associated with suggestible mental states. By carefully modulating these frequencies, operators can allegedly induce specific emotional states, plant thoughts and ideas, trigger behavioral responses, and even cause physical sensations in targeted individuals or entire populations. The most disturbing aspect of SSS's technology is its alleged deployment during military operations and domestic population control initiatives. Conspiracy researchers point to numerous incidents where the technology may have been used, including the mysterious surrender of Iraqi forces during the Gulf War, the unusual compliance of protesters during various social movements, and the seemingly inexplicable shifts in public opinion on contentious political issues. The technology's ability to operate over vast distances through existing radio, television, and cellular communication infrastructure makes it an ideal tool for what some researchers term democratic mind control, the subtle manipulation of public sentiment without the messy business of overt authoritarianism. Conspiracy researchers cite multiple sources as evidence despite mainstream dismissal of these claims. Beyond the Lowry patent, military procurement documents allegedly reference psychoactistic warfare and non-lethal crowd control technologies matching SSS's characteristics. Former military personnel and intelligence operatives have reportedly testified to witnessing the technology's development and field deployment, though such testimonies remain largely unverified by independent sources. The psychological effects of SSS's exposure is reported by alleged victims and documented by researchers studying electronic harassment, include a range of symptoms that mirror those associated with various forms of mind control. Subjects report experiencing intrusive thoughts that seem to originate from external sources, sudden and unexplained changes in mood or behavior, auditory hallucinations in the form of voices or sounds that others cannot hear, and a general sense of mental cloudiness or confusion. Long-term exposure is said to result in more severe symptoms, including memory loss, personality changes, and the development of what appears to be artificially induced mental illness. The insidious nature of these effects means that victims often never realize they are being targeted, instead attributing their symptoms to stress, aging, or naturally occurring psychological conditions. Modern telecommunications infrastructure has created what researchers describe as an ideal delivery network for subliminal influence operations. It's a digital broadcasting transition, cellular tower proliferation, smart technology integration throughout daily life potentially serve as comprehensive SSS carrier systems. Every radio broadcast, television signal, cellular call, and wireless internet connection could theoretically transmit these subliminal frequencies. The 5G rollout has intensified these concerns, with conspiracy theorists arguing that higher frequencies and increased power levels make these networks particularly suited for advanced psychological operations. Government agencies and military organizations have consistently denied the existence of operational SSS programs, dismissing such claims as unfounded conspiracy theories lacking scientific credibility. However, the same agencies once denied the existence of programs like MKUltra, Operation Mockingbird, and COINTELPRO, all of which were later revealed through declassified documents and congressional investigations. The pattern of denial, followed by eventual admission, has led many researchers to conclude that SSSS technology is simply the latest iteration of government mind control programs, hidden behind layers of classification and disinformation. The commercial applications of SSSS technology present equally disturbing possibilities for population manipulation. Retail chains could use the technology to influence purchasing decisions, creating artificial desires for specific products or brands. Political campaigns could deploy SSS to subliminally influence voter preferences, making traditional polling and campaigning obsolete. Media companies could use the technology to enhance the effectiveness of their programming, creating deeper emotional connections with audiences and increasing the impact of their messaging. The potential for abuse by corporations seeking to maximize profits through psychological manipulation is virtually limitless. International implications of SSST's technology extend beyond domestic population control to include the possibility of psychological warfare between nations. Countries possessing advanced SSS capabilities could potentially influence the populations of their adversaries, undermining social cohesion, promoting civil unrest, or even triggering mass psychological responses that destabilize entire regions. The technology represents a new form of warfare that operates entirely in the realm of consciousness, leaving no physical evidence of attack while potentially causing widespread psychological and social damage. The legal and ethical frameworks governing SSS's technology remain virtually non-existent, largely because mainstream institutions refuse to acknowledge the technology's existence or capabilities. This regulatory vacuum allows for unrestricted experimentation and deployment without meaningful oversight or accountability. Victims of SSS attacks have little recourse through traditional legal channels, as the technology's covert nature makes it nearly impossible to prove exposure or demonstrate causation between the technology and reported symptoms. The lack of legal protection for potential victims represents a fundamental threat to basic human rights and mental autonomy. Detection and protection against SSST's technology pose significant challenges for individuals and communities seeking to defend themselves against subliminal manipulation. Traditional radio frequency detection equipment may not be sensitive enough to identify SSS signals, which are designed to operate below conventional detection thresholds. Some researchers have developed specialized equipment for detecting anomalous radio frequency patterns that may indicate SSSS transmission, but such equipment remains expensive and difficult to obtain. Passive protection methods include the use of radio frequency shielding materials, but the ubiquity of modern wireless communication makes complete isolation virtually impossible. The psychological profile of individuals who research and report on SSSS technology often becomes a target for discrediting campaigns designed to undermine the credibility of their claims. Researchers are frequently labeled as paranoid, delusional, or mentally unstable, despite many having impressive academic credentials and professional backgrounds. This pattern of character assassination serves to discourage serious investigation of SSS's technology while reinforcing the mainstream narrative that such claims are the product of mental illness rather than legitimate concern about covert government programs. The role of media manipulation in concealing SSSS technology extends beyond simple censorship to include active disinformation campaigns designed to confuse and mislead the public. Stories about SSSS technology are often presented in contexts that make them appear ridiculous or implausible, associating the technology with obviously false claims or unreliable sources. Meanwhile, legitimate research and documentation are ignored or suppressed, creating an information environment where the truth becomes increasingly difficult to discern from deliberate misinformation. The convergence of SSSS technology with other emerging technologies, presents even more alarming possibilities for comprehensive population control. Artificial intelligence systems could be used to customize SSS messages for individual targets based on their psychological profiles, making the technology even more effective at influencing behavior. Quantum computing could enable real-time analysis of population responses to SSS transmissions, allowing operators to adjust their strategies dynamically for maximum impact. The integration of SSSS with social media platforms and internet-connected devices could create a totalitarian surveillance and control system that would make previous authoritarian regimes seem primitive by comparison. The ultimate implications of SSS's technology for human freedom and autonomy cannot be overstated. The technology operates as described by conspiracy researchers. It represents the potential end of free will as we understand it, replacing genuine human choice with artificially induced preferences and behaviors. The technology could be used to create a population of compliant, unthinking consumers and citizens who believe they are making independent decisions while actually responding to subliminal programming. The very concept of democracy becomes meaningless when voters' choices are determined by covert psychological manipulation rather than genuine deliberation and debate. The path forward for those concerned about SSS's technology requires a combination of awareness, research, and collective action. Individuals must educate themselves about the potential existence and capabilities of the technology while remaining skeptical of both official denials and extreme claims. Communities must work together to develop detection and protection methods while supporting researchers who are willing to investigate these controversial topics despite professional and personal risks. Political action is needed to demand transparency and accountability from government agencies and to establish legal protections against covert psychological manipulation. The story of silent sound spread spectrum technology serves as a powerful reminder that the greatest threats to human freedom often emerge not from overt oppression, but from subtle manipulation that operates below the threshold of conscious awareness. Whether SSSS technology exists in the form described by conspiracy theorists or remains a theoretical possibility, the principles it embodies, the use of advanced technology for covert population control, represent a fundamental challenge to human autonomy and dignity. The price of freedom has always been eternal vigilance, and in an age of invisible weapons that target the mind itself, that vigilance must extend to the very thoughts in our heads and the voices we hear in the silence of our own consciousness.